Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, guiding you through the trails of Glacier National Park. And Sarah, we've got so many episodes about so many great hikes, and you can dig into each one of those. But if you're going to hike in Glacier, there are plenty of things to consider. And we wanted to offer some advice, some guidance on planning your trip. There are important dates and information that you need to keep in mind and consider when planning your trip, because you missed the deadline and yikes, you're out of luck a lot of times. Sarah, we've dealt with this in the recent past, and it's been up and down. People have enjoyed the fact that the experience in Glacier is a little a little more spread out, a little more opportunity for people to be there, restricting some of the vehicle traffic in the busy parts of the park. And there's been some ups, there's been some ups and downs. It's hard to do. I missed my opportunity. What am I supposed to do? They've adapted and made some provisions for night before ticketing. And each year is going to be different. It was piloted a couple of years ago. At the recording of this episode, the upcoming season it's going to change again, and pretty drastically. So we're going to give some of that information. You can always find more information on the NPS website, National Park Service, and we're going to give what we can, and hopefully you get a quick rundown of everything that you might need to know. So the areas we're going to cover are kind of entry to the park, the different regions, and how it does change year by year due to, as I mentioned, ticketing and construction and things like that. And we're going to talk about camping in Glacier, both front country and back country. And we are also going to talk about the platforms, how you do this, and some of the specific dates to reserve, and then some of the even more difficult but more rare and exciting opportunities at some of the chalets in the park. And there's a lot of things to consider, but as you're planning your trip, we hope this helps. So, Sarah, let's talk about vehicle entry into the park. I mean, some things are fairly basic, and if you're coming here, if you're hiking here, if you plan to stay, you're already aware of, that you need a park pass. Things like that. We're not going to go super basic. Hopefully you're already there. But in the recent past, I've had some, as I mentioned, a piloted program on timed vehicle entry ticket system. And that has worked. If you played by the rules, a lot of people were frustrated at not being able to enter the park when and how they wanted to. But if you played by the rules, it worked. We had probably better experiences in the park. Things were a little more spread out. And that's good for both the, our own taking in of the trails and the views and things like that. But not only that, but wildlife. I mean, it was becoming overcrowded. We were reading recently how, over the years at the start of the park, it went from like 20,000 visitors to 150,000 visitors to, 600,000 visitors. So now it's 3 million plus. And I think for a while there, from years, 2015 to 2025, every single year broke the record of the previous year of visitation. So it is a busy place. People love it. We love it. And hopefully your experience of it is going to be terrific. But you need to know a few things. The time vehicle entry system is going away here in 2026. There's a few other things that are happening instead. More shuttles running through the park and direct express shuttles to the most popular places, and some parking limits at the places like Logan Pass. You're not going to be able to hang out all day. I remember it was kind of fun, except for when we didn't get it. But people were almost camping at Logan Pass. We'd see them at 5 a.m. Making breakfast next to their car. And
the Rangers don't like that. No,
don't do that. Yeah. That was and staying just as late, and again, kind of going and doing something, adventuring, coming back to their vehicle, resetting. I mean, you've got people circling for parking spots. Something probably did need to be done, and the only thing that bothered me about it is that it wasn't us, that we didn't think of that. So, but in this case, there's going to be limited time parking at Logan Pass. And a few other things that you'll need to think about. Again, NPS.gov is the place to go for the latest on all of these things.
Because I think they're still updating a few things too.
Absolutely, it changes. Yeah, reference it if you're on your way here. Reference it frequently because both trail status and that map is terrific. I mean, the way that they lay it out, and it's color coded, and the notices are very clear as to which parts of the park, sections of the park are closed, even to the day, a trail closed temporarily for grizzly activity, something like that, or an accident somewhere on the Going to the Sun Road that you need to be aware of. I mean, this is a pretty great resource, the website, the National Park Service website for Glacier. So check that frequently if you're visiting, and it's just got a great wealth of resources.
I'm actually maybe going to miss the ticketed entry because, coming from Kalispell, it takes about 3 hours to drive to Many Glacier. And if you had an entry ticket, you could pretty well get in, if you got in there for that time slot or whatever. But now it's going to go back to what it was before. It's
true.
You don't know. You might get turned around. You're going to drive all the way over there to Medicine, any part of Glacier, be turned around because it's too congested with traffic. But specifically Many Glacier, they have, which I think you'll touch on later, more parking spots this year. So maybe that will help.
Absolutely.
It will help. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I think they nearly doubled the parking area over there in the construction that occurred in 2025. Should be a better experience in that area. And they're moving, and they've got some construction planned for the Two Medicine area here in 2026, spring and fall for sure. Some things that will impact, getting to those areas. But pay attention to that too, because, it's with 3 million visitors coming in and out each year. It's, that's a lot on the infrastructure. It's a lot that is, it's hard. It's hard on this natural place. And so.
Well, the weather too, all the snow and the plowing, and it's inevitable.
The freezing and the melting and the seasons, that we go through. But
it's frustrating, but we have to be patient with all the fixing.
Right. we all appreciate it in the past. The West End, Lake McDonald road on the west side was improved, and it was hard during, and then it's terrific afterwards. So, and I've got to say, and I think, Sarah, you agree, the Park Service is doing a tremendous job.
Yes.
I want to be sure that that's our opinion. They've got to work hard on this. Not every decision is going to be popular with everybody. Not every decision is going to be perfect, nor perfect the first time. So that's why it's still a pilot program. They're tweaking it each year, offering some tickets ahead of time, some closer to the date. So both, people that are driving across the country or even visiting internationally can actually experience the park, and they know they're going to be able to. But also, we don't have a bunch of reservations that occurred months and months ago that people can't, plans change, they can't show up. And then all of a sudden there could have been, I could have gotten in there. So they've done a good job with each little tweak to the system. And I really believe that they're doing the best they can.
Yeah. And they always have meetings every year. You can come in as a public figure and give your input, either open to suggestions. They want your opinion. They want your suggestions. Right. So if you have a better idea, make sure you voice that. Absolutely. Yeah. Public comment. It's got to be a tough thing, right? Allowing people to enjoy the park and caretaking and preserving the park. Yeah.
It's a tough one. So there's one main way to do this. The platform, recreation.gov, is what you need to work with in order to make reservations, get permits, tickets, whatever it is, recreation.gov. And the app is terrific. It's easy, quickness. Some of these things are a race to the finish line. Like 8 a.m., you need to get on and get a ticket, get a permit, and they go unbelievably quick. I think I read that there's 3,000 backcountry or early lottery backcountry tickets, and they are sold out within a minute. And 3,000 sounds like a lot. It really does. But you heard me say it, 3 million visitors. Obviously, they're not all going for the same things, and they're not going at the same time. But it's.
I don't think I've ever gotten a backcountry lottery. Yeah, you've gotten one a few times. We didn't. Neither of us got one this year.
Nope. Yeah. But that's where you would. And there's a lot more information on that app too, even specific instructions about how to do it, the steps that it takes. And so use all these things as a resource. We're kind of leading you into those so you know what you need to do. But, there's a lot of great hikes and trails in the backcountry. And so it's worth trying that. There's off the road, there is front country, there's back country. So depending on your appetite for wilderness and, adventure, you can pick any of these and kind of progress even. If you're new to the area, for example, you might hit the Avalanche Lake and the Hidden Lake, and then You might camp somewhere in the park at Apgar and then ride the road and, bike the road. And then you might go to some of the pass trails that we've talked about. And then some of the more remote sections of the park, which often are in the north, in close to the Canadian border. So we've got a lot more to say. We'll talk a little bit about camping, both front country and back country. But we're going to take a short break. Stick with us.
Freedom Bank isn't the biggest bank in the world, but neither is Glacier National Park, and look how incredible it is. We believe small can be mighty. We know your name, we know your goals, and we bring the banking tools you need, no matter if you live in Columbia Falls, Kalispell, or halfway up Grinnell Glacier Trail. Proud sponsor of Hiking Fools. Let's climb higher together. Member FDIC.
Welcome back, everyone. We are the Hiking Fools, talking about planning your trip in Glacier and all the considerations. And we've kind of covered, entering the park, getting permits, tickets, whatever is needed. The latest information is always on nps.gov, and recreation.gov is the platform that you need to actually use to reserve these sites. So get familiar with them ahead of time. It's like in the moment, it's hard. It's difficult. You don't know where did I get it? Is there one more step? And sometimes there is. You got to check the box that says, I acknowledge all the things above in order to get to that next step. And so get familiar with the platform a little bit before you're ready to get your reservation.
And recreation.gov is a great place to use all that stuff and figure those things out. But I would say if you're trying to book camping reservations, I would be on a computer.
Yeah, like a desktop, laptop versus a phone. On the phone, it's convenient, it's easy, but you're more looking at campsites by site, and availability. Availability is kind of tough to understand. If you're on a laptop, you can see the full availability calendar, and you can piece together your sites, understand if there are 3 nights in a row at that specific site, for example, and whether you have to switch. But if you're just shooting in the dark, like, I think that site looks good to me, then it may not be available, and you may not know that until you go to reserve, and then you kind of run into trouble there. So if you're planning your trip and you're planning multiple days at a campsite, we recommend using a laptop versus the phone.
Well, and also not all campgrounds in the park are reservation. Like, there's some walk-ups too. Rising Sun specifically is one of those. And again, check every year, because maybe they'll switch that to where you do have to have a reservation. But as of right now, that's first come, first serve, Rising Sun specifically. So just check the NPS, like Josh said, or recreation.gov, and that gives you a lot of information.
And let's talk about it. I mean, if front country camping, and backcountry camping, there are 8 total front country camps grounds in Glacier: Apgar, Fish Creek, Sprague Creek, Avalanche on the west side. Over on the east side, you've got 2 Medicine, St. Mary, Rising Sun, and Many Glacier. And as you mentioned, some of them are sectioned, right? You can reserve some of the sites ahead of time, and there are some that are set aside for first come, first serve. So trying to, again, accommodate folks who have planned months in advance and need to, because they've traveled a long way to get here, and also somebody who wants to be a little bit more flexible. And so there's options for everybody. And some these sites 6 months in advance is when, for the reservable sites, you need to get on and plan that trip. Some of the campgrounds also have a few days in advance. I know Many Glacier, one of our favorites.
4 days.
4 days in advance. Some of the sites are available, and then at other campgrounds, like we mentioned, it's walk up, drive up, first come, first serve. But again, look at the regions of the park. I'd recommend getting familiar with, west side versus east side. Where the campsites are as you progress through the park. If you have a week or more, where are you staying? Can you get there? Piecing together a trip can be difficult, but it definitely can be done.
Well, and also research too not only where these campgrounds are located, but how to get there, because a place like Cut Bank Campground, it's not for RVs. The road is awful. And even going into Many Glacier, that road's pretty rough. Yeah. We've taken our trailer in there, and you just kind of have to take it slow. But also, some of these sites, you have to really read, because they have trees that are they make it very difficult, some of these sites, to pull in a trailer. So let alone an RV. So you really need to pay attention to that. They have sites that are reserved.
The trees are getting in the way of our camper. But Many Glacier it's an important point. Many Glacier is an example where, even the map though shows what sites are accommodating for, a 15 to 20 foot trailer. And I don't think there's much that can go beyond that. Those sites are a little bit smaller. Apgar is suitable for larger vehicles and camp, tents. And you've got a lot of options because we've done it all. I mean, go from the trailer to the tent pad to the backcountry site. And they're all different levels. And again, depending on your desires and how you expect to experience the park, there's something for everyone.
Well, and actually, maybe you should elaborate on that a little bit with the backcountry site. So there's something to that. If you get one site, can you have multiple tents on it? Maybe you should go into that a little.
Yeah, let's talk about backcountry. I think we're there now. There's some standard group and larger group considerations, and the dates right now and have been in March. So early March, March 1st, and mid-March are the lotteries for backcountry sites, and it's kind of a 3-step process even. Number one, you enter the lottery to get a permit, and then you get assigned a date specifically that you can go on and pick your trip. And you need to be very flexible and maybe come up with a couple of different itineraries because you may not piece together exactly what you wanted to. Most of these backcountry sites literally have 2 to 7 sites at the campground. And so picture that. I mean, there's 3 sites. It's the experience. It's the backcountry experience. But it makes it a little bit difficult to get. We haven't had a lot of trouble getting the trips that we want, but I know depending on a lot of factors, people have. So just picture that backcountry Glacier. You're on a lake. There's mountains surrounding you. You're in this valley, and there's 3 sites. So it's you and maybe the rest of your group and one other party, or just a couple of you. So, but that just goes to show how rare, how wonderful of an experience it can be if you're looking for more of that solitude. But the backcountry lottery happens in March, and check out the dates specifically. And then there's later availability too. There's a general kind of pre-sale where after that first lottery period ends, anybody can go in. It's usually May 1st, I believe. Double check that. But then anybody can go in, sort of see what's left. But we've done that, and you can get a lot of terrific sites. There's some that are more desirable than others, and that shows. They go quicker. And the standard group size is 8. Anything above that is larger group, considered large group. And if you're the backcountry site, you can fit up to 4 people on one site. And so if you've got a group of 8, you're going to need 2 camp sites within that backcountry campground. And so, you've got to consider that who's where and, who's going to be together and make the most of it. Sometimes we've got 2 tents on one site with 4 people, and that's the way it's got to be. And then the other one is one family with 3 or 4 people. And so just consider that as you're planning your trip, the requirements and the regulations. Make sure you're not going outside of that. I mean, we've been checked on the trail too. You need to have a permit. There are plenty of national forests around
you have
this
to carry
area.
it with you, yeah.
But yeah, we've been checked. I mean, the rangers are patrolling these areas because again, we don't want to overrun the beautiful parts of Glacier. And so there is no, free form. I feel like camping here, or maybe I'll just go out and see what I can find. There are permits, and you must have that permit.
I do want to note too that if you are planning a backcountry trip, that if you go too early in the season and you have to traverse a pass, you're going to encounter snow. So your trip is going to be, you're going to have to halt your decisions and rethink that a little bit. So make sure you do your research. I would say July, the month of July, even middle to late, is a good time to backpack in Glacier Park if you're going over passes.
Certain areas, for sure. Yeah, there's 65 wilderness campgrounds. It's relatively cheap, $7 per person per night. And so you can have a great time in Glacier without spending a ton of money. And if you haven't done these things and you're like, shoot, it's past the deadline, I don't know what to do. I really wanted to. We're going to be in the area. I really wanted to backcountry camp. There are permit offices, across the park. In Apgar Village, Many Glacier Ranger Station, 2 Medicine Ranger Stations, St. Mary Visitor Center, even in Polebridge. There are permit offices that the people there, the volunteers and workers there, are great at piecing together a trip for you. So they'll take a look at what's, I think is day before is when you are able to do that, or the day of. They can put together something for you. So use the resources, within the park.
And get there early. There's usually a lineup of people outside those areas.
That's true.
It's a great place to backcountry.
So the last thing that we want to talk about is, if you're scaling up in your lodging accommodations, chalets in the park, both Sperry and Granite Park chalets. We've talked about those in other episodes. Check that out, Sperry Chalet specifically. And then there are plenty of hotels around the park. Xanterra is one resource and Pursuit is the other that covers most of the lodges outside on the edges, the outskirts of the park. So if you're looking for a little bit more luxurious stay and still be able to experience Glacier, those are the places to check.
But you have to reserve, if you want to stay at one of the hotels, that's a little more. Yeah,
13 months in advance. I mean, they're booked a year ahead of time. So, but again, they're, a lot of those rooms are, $200-$300. And we just mentioned backcountry, $7 per person per night. So anyways, these are all the dates that you need to kind of plan your trip, be ready to use the system and the resources that are available if you want to have the best experience. Check out our Instagram page at HikingFoolsMT to see some great photos from our recent adventures. And tune in next time. You check out more episodes online, including terrific hikes from each of these campsites. And remember to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, encouraging you to always go.